Hey everybody, Kim here. Now, I cannot wait to tell you why, if you like Pandemic, Ticket to Ride, and Century Spice Road, you might just like trekking the world. In order to get the game set up for trekking the world, players are going to unfold this giant world map. And that's where the similarities cross over with Pandemic, but not just that. You're going to have this big map in the center of the board, and there are going to be all of these destinations. Now, while they're not cities like they are in Pandemic, they are the attractions in major cities in 6 of the major continents. Obviously not Antarctica, but they have these places that you want to go and visit. Now, those correspond with the cards that you're going to take a tour of, but this map is huge and there are all these different places represented. There are also going to be airport locations, and airport locations function a lot like they do research stations in Pandemic, and you can essentially hop from one airport to the next to really navigate this map because there are some maybe not direct routes to where you want to go always. You might get kind of stuck in a little bit of a tiny loop. Like in Southern Europe, I found myself kind of stuck there and I wasn't able to really just jump down to Africa super easy. But if you can find an airport, you can jump between airports at the start of your turn. And that's really the major similarities with Pandemic is you've got a map, all these different locations, and you want to go to those locations so that you can take a tour, but then you also have those research stations, which of course in Trekking the World is the airport. Super easy, super basic concept that we're all really familiar with thanks to Pandemic. Unlike in Pandemic though, players have to move on their turn, and it essentially happens before they get to do one of their major actions. And so they have to play a trek card from their hand. They could play more to add up to a particular number, but they're forced to move that number of legs or spaces along a trail. And so it's interesting, the move, it's a forced, essentially a forced choice on a player's turn. You do get to choose where you want to go based on the card or cards you play. But in Pandemic, moving is essentially one of your 4 actions, and so you could move for all 4 of them, you could move for 1, you can move for none. But there is this move at the beginning of every player's turn. After a player moves, they have the option of one of 3 actions, one of which is to draw 2 cards from the Trek deck. The other is to take a tour if they're in a city that matches one of the attractions that is available, or they are going to take a journey. Now, the first action, take 2 cards, is classic Ticket to Ride rules. There are 4 Trek cards face up and a deck that's face down. Players will draw 2 cards. They draw their first one. If it's from the face up pile, it's replaced, and then they draw a second one. Now, of course, you don't have any rainbow trains in Trekking the World. There are no wilds, so no flushing of that particular area, that draw area, but that is it. You could draw 2 from the top, you could draw 1 from the face ups, 1 from the face down, but that's the action, is drawing 2 cards, and it is a la Ticket to Ride 100% of the way. When a player's Explorer token ends up at one of the destinations that matches the 4 face-up destination cards, they can take a tour. And that means that they are going to discard the number and color of the requirements at the bottom of the card, and they will then receive the victory points in that really cool compass symbol. But here's where it is like Century Spice Road or Century any of the centuries. There are 4 of these destinations available, and on the far right, one of them gives you a bonus 5 victory points. The one step to the left gives 3 bonus victory points, and then when you take one of those cards, the cards will fill in going from left to right, so you'll push them further right, so some cards may slide into the bonus spot, just like in Century Spice Road. So that means that the 2 on the right the furthest two on the right of that face-up destinations area, are valuable. They're valuable because they give you 3 and or 5 more than just the basic turn-in price. And so it incentivizes players to go for those or to plan for the 2 lower ones to bump into place when someone else gets one of the bigger ones. And that really just adds to the strategy because everyone has played this and just was waiting for someone to turn in all of their cubes to get the card that was either in the first or second priority position to get the bonus, and then you bumped yours in, next turn around, boom, and you bank on that. So not only is there the strategy of making sure you get to a destination, which means that you have to mobilize yourself on the map, but you also want to make sure you get those bonuses because that's a really cool added feature to your strategy and to the layering of the game to make it just that much more challenging. And I really like that because I really like Century Spice Road. Let's say you're not getting the right Trek cards. The cards that are coming out just don't fit with your plan. They don't have the right number on them, so you can't move where you want to move. And they may not have the right matching colors for those destination cards. Well, what you can do is take a journey instead. And a journey is going to allow you to do one of 2 cool actions that changes every single time you play the game. There's an A deck and a B deck. And for every game, you will choose an A card or a B card. Now, in the first game, they recommend this A and this B card for your journey options. Exchange rate, take a tour for 1 fewer icon, and you gain 3 bonus victory points. Catch Me If You Can, move up to 4, draw 2 cards from the deck. Now, the really cool thing about the exchange rate is you're just not getting the right color, so it gives you an option to pay 2 colors that match, 2 cards of the same color, just to activate the action. So let's say you've got a bunch of these other colors that aren't needed. You say, well, I can discard 2 of those cards because I'm not getting the cards I need, and I can fulfill a destination for 1 less of the requirements. So I just can't find that 1 red card. And so you can do it by using the exchange rate. And then the Catch Me If You Can allows you to move up to 4 spaces. Cards don't let you move 4 with 1 card. The highest number is 3, and you always have to move exactly the number that you play for your move card. And this one gives you that flexibility of moving up to 4. So many good things. And it lets you draw 2 cards. So you discard 2 of the same, maybe again, you're getting a bunch of blue cards and you really need other kinds of cards. So then it gives you that kind of fresh, new opportunities with drawing 2 cards. There are also 2 other elements that allow you to get victory points in the game, one of which is making sure that you have the most of a particular color. Now there are 4 colors in the game, and the first player to reach the threshold gets the majority bonus. And someone can take that majority bonus from you if they exceed how many you have of these cubes on your little suitcase that you keep. And when you go to cities or destinations and you end there, you take the cube and you put it in your suitcase. You're like, I took a snapshot, I got a souvenir, I sent a postcard, whatever it is thematically that makes sense with trekking the world, but you get a little cube and you put it in your suitcase. So that's another way to get victory points. And then the last way is collecting 1 of each kind of cube. And the furthest column that you have of collected cubes of each gives you victory points at the bottom of that particular column you'll see on your suitcase. I will say, though, that we've already made a house rule, and I know that that is questionable, players choosing to change the way the game works because this game's been tested. It's been, it's gone through the rigmarole of playing, and it should be fair. It should be balanced. After the very first time through, though, we figured out maybe not so much when it comes to the unequal turns. So the game can end before everyone gets an equal amount of turns, and in the very beginning of the game, it seems like the very first player has a lot of advantages, and if you end the game as the first player, you obviously end with taking 1 entire more turn than everyone else in the game, which is a huge advantage. And then, of course, the first player is always getting to other places first to gather more cubes, and when you gather cubes and get the majority bonus, players have to exceed you to take that away from you. So you could get it first, And when you have 2, someone else could have 2. Well, they can't take it from you until they get 3. So then once you get 3, then they have to have 4 to take it away from you. And so it makes it that much harder to take away the majority bonuses. So that's another thing that first player and early players in the game receive for free. There's no real deficit to that, and there obviously is to later players. And there's no other bonus that players in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 5th actually get. There's no bonus card, there's no bonus nothing, right? I mean, like, you just start 5th and somebody else starts 1st, and you're probably not getting your last turn. I would almost guarantee it. In a 2-player game, I didn't get my last turn, and I would have earned 15 points in my last turn. So I think that perhaps extending to every player getting an opportunity to play equal turns, simply so that they can complete a destination or get another cube that allows them to earn a higher column scoring for their variety bonus in their suitcase. I mean, something that makes it feel remotely fair, because it seems like there are 4 advantages to going early and no advantages to going late. And there's no wiggle room and there's no making up for that in this game. So my suggestion is to just simply let everybody play their turn. That's it. It's super easy. And I think what it does is leaves players feeling satisfied and happy. There are plenty of destination cards here to play this game over and over and over and over again, honestly. And it's just really, really fun. And I just think there's a lot to like here, particularly because of the variety of mechanics that meld together to create a really fun race to trigger the end of the game, which is getting your 5th destination card, or one player is going to take the 5th of the 6 region bonuses. And all that is simply taking all of the cubes in the particular continent area. And so the last person to take that cube gets a bonus, and the bonus is anywhere between 2 and 6. Thanks for joining me for this overview of Trekking the World. And with 2 to 5 players and taking less than an hour to play, you can catch all of these really cool mechanics from Ticket to Ride Pandemic and Century Spice Road all in one game. And if you can think of a mechanic or a game that this game reminds you of, put it in the comments below, and I'll catch you next time. See ya!